Empire Tales. King Arthur, the Sword, the Legend, and the Kingdom. The mist-shrouded lands of Britain, where winds howl through ancient oaks and rivers carve through the mountains, were once the home of legends. It was here, in the mists of time, that one name would rise to define an era: King Arthur. A man whose life became a legend, whose sword became a symbol of divine right, and whose kingdom would be the stuff of tales, songs, and myths. But was Arthur simply a man? Or was he a king chosen by fate to unite a fractured land? This is the story of King Arthur, the sword he wielded, the kingdom he built, and the legendary figures that surrounded him. The birth of a king. Arthur's story begins long before he drew the sword from the stone. It begins in a time of uncertainty. Britain was a land divided, with no rightful heir to the throne, and the kingdom lay in the hands of various warlords. Uther Pendragon, the great king, had died, leaving no clear successor. But Merlin, the wise and mysterious wizard, knew that a king was destined to rule, a king who would bring Britain to greatness. And so, through magic and fate, the young Arthur was born, raised in secrecy, and unaware of his royal bloodline. The true test of his destiny came when Excalibur, the legendary sword of kings, was embedded in a great stone. It was said that only the rightful ruler of Britain could draw the sword and claim the throne. Many tried, but it was only the young Arthur, barely a teenager, who could pull the sword from the stone. In that moment, the heavens themselves seemed to acknowledge his rule. Arthur was not just a king by birthright. He was the chosen ruler, the once and future king. Excalibur, the sword of kings. In the days of ancient Britain, Excalibur was no mere weapon. It was a symbol of divine authority, a sword imbued with power beyond mortal understanding. It was said to have been gifted to Arthur by the Lady of the Lake, an ethereal figure who was a part of the mystical forces that governed the land. The sword's blade was said to glow with an inner fire, and its edge was so sharp that no enemy could withstand its power. But Excalibur was more than just a sword. It was the key to Arthur's kingship. With it, he was destined to unite the fractured kingdom, to create a legend that would span generations, and to lead a group of noble knights, the Knights of the Round Table, in a quest for justice and glory. The Round Table, a brotherhood of knights. The creation of the Round Table marked the beginning of a golden age for Britain. Arthur was no ordinary king. He was a king who saw loyalty, honor, and unity as the foundation of his rule. In his court, there would be no hierarchy. All of his knights, no matter their birth or status, would sit equally at the Round Table. This table was not merely a piece of furniture. It was a symbol that there were no greater or lesser men among the knights. It was at this table that the Knights of Camelot swore an oath of loyalty to their king, promising to uphold justice and defend the realm from any threat. Some of the most legendary knights of this time were Sir Lancelot, Sir Gawain, Sir Percival, and Sir Galahad, each bound to Arthur not just by blood, but by the shared ideals of courage, honor, and sacrifice. The quest for the Holy Grail. No legend of King Arthur would be complete without the quest for the Holy Grail, the most sacred of all Christian relics. The Grail, said to be the cup used by Jesus Christ at the Last Supper, was a symbol of divine grace and spiritual purity. The Knights of the Round Table embarked on this perilous quest, seeking the Grail not for power or riches, but for the salvation of their souls. The journey was filled with challenges and trials, and only the purest knights could hope to find it. Among them was Sir Galahad, the knight of purest heart, who would ultimately be the one to behold the Holy Grail. But the Grail was not simply a physical object. It was a test of the knights' faith, their virtue, and their commitment to the higher ideals of chivalry. The tragic fall of Camelot. The brilliance of Camelot could not last forever. Even the most perfect of kingdoms is bound to face betrayal and heartbreak. Arthur's beloved queen, Guinevere, and his most trusted knight, Sir Lancelot, fell in love with each other, leading to a catastrophic betrayal. The fracture within the Round Table was undeniable. The knights turned against each other, and Guinevere was forced to take refuge in a convent, while Lancelot fled to distant lands. The civil strife within Camelot weakened the kingdom, and the mystical forces that held Arthur's world together began to unravel. The final blow came when Arthur's half-sister, Morgana, conspired against him, seeking to destroy her brother and claim the throne for herself. The final battle, the death of Arthur. In a fateful battle at Camelot, Arthur faced his greatest enemy, Morgana's forces. Though he fought valiantly, he was mortally wounded. Before his death, he entrusted his sword, Excalibur, to Sir Bedivere, one of his loyal knights, and ordered him to return it to the Lady of the Lake. With his last breath, Arthur knew that his legacy would live on. The once and future king was gone, but his legend would endure. He died knowing that the ideals of justice, loyalty, and honor would carry on, even after the fall of Camelot. The legacy of King Arthur. Arthur's death marked the end of Camelot, but it did not mark the end of his legend. His story, his knights, and the ideals of Camelot would continue to inspire generations. The legend of King Arthur lives on, passed down through the ages in stories, books, and songs. His reign was one of glory, but also one of tragedy, showing that even the noblest of kings must face the bitter realities of betrayal and loss. Headphone listen now to experience the rise and fall of King Arthur, the once and future king whose legend has lived for centuries, and whose ideals still echo in the hearts of those who believe in the power of honor and justice. If you enjoy cinematic history storytelling and immersive podcast experiences, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join Empire Tales for more legendary stories from history.